Ty Dog. You slippery cat, you. Nick Caserio, you did it again! You did it again, Nick! Today's show, I'm breaking down the genius of our Texans general manager, Nick Caserio, because he's playing chess while everybody else, they're out there playing checkers. They think that they're the smartest guy in the room, but turns out Nick Caserio is 10 steps ahead at all times. He's the mastermind. He's got it up here. What's not clicking to you? He's standing on business, everybody. So before I break down why he's an absolute genius with everything he's done this offseason, be real with me. Do you think Nick Caserio is one of the best GMs in the NFL? Or am I just blowing smoke up his you-know-what? Let me know down in the comments section. Give me a yes. Give me a no. Do you think Nick Caserio is one of the best general managers in the entire National Football League? First on the agenda of him absolutely spanking the rest of the NFL's GMs, you haven't been up to date with what's going on in Washington. Not a pretty sight. Commanders wide receiver Terry McLaurin spoke to the media yesterday, and he's pretty candid about how upset he is with the organization in terms of his contract talks. This is what he had to say. This is what Adam Schefter had to say. There's no update on the Terry McLaurin situation, and that's the update. The problem is with this particular situation, I think Terry McLaurin is going to argue that we've seen other wide receivers who his numbers are comparable to, like Jamar Chase and T. Higgins and DK Metcalf, get paid over $30 million a year this offseason. And then the Commanders can say, yes, but Mike Evans, who has also had comparable numbers, is at $24 million a year. There really is quite a difference and a gap between what both sides would want. They have not made any progress. And as I mentioned, that's Adam Schefter speaking on it. Terry McLaurin, very candid that he's upset with the organization. And it's funny they put that $24 million a year mark. They put Mike Evans. But somebody a little bit closer in age to Terry McLaurin, Nico Collins, he's making $24.25. And if you don't think the Commanders organization, other teams are looking at this price figure and saying, oh, Nico Collins, yes, he's had some injury concerns. That maybe kind of plays into him getting paid a little bit less than some of these other guys. But considered a top 10 receiver in this league. And if you're looking at ESPN's top 10 wide receivers, Nico Collins is 8, right above Mike Evans. Terry McLaurin did not make their top 10. If I'm the Commanders and I'm saying, hey, Nico Collins is getting paid $24 million, and many people believe he's better than you are. So Nick Caserio getting ahead of that deal, getting it done as soon as he possibly could, has paid dividends in the long run more than any of us could have foreseen. Because this deal gets better and better each and every single contract that comes after it. This Texans front office has made it a point to get contracts done early on in the process. Not to draw it out and not become a distraction during training camp, just like we see with the Terry McLaurin situation. And them getting it done early. We've seen this saga with other teams. Look at the Dallas Cowboys and Dak Prescott. They didn't get a deal done. And Dak's agent absolutely bent the Jones boys over the table and handed it to him, making Dak the highest paid quarterback and really kind of handicapping that Dallas franchise for the short term, next couple of seasons. And the fact that this team is able to get guys like Nico Collins on the deal that they got him is just, astronomical compared to what other GMs are doing and how much they're struggling. I talked about it earlier this week. Look at Jawan Jennings with the San Francisco 49ers. Other teams are struggling with dealing with their players and getting contracts done and making sure guys are paid and, everything's hunky-dory. Texans don't seem to have that problem. And the other part of it is other teams that are paying, they're having to meet up to the Texans' standards of what they're paying their guys. Because I thought this was hilarious. Obviously, we all know Derek Stingley got the contract extension earlier in the offseason. It was very early on in the process. Look what the Jets did with Sauce Gardner. They agreed to 4-year, $120.4 million extension. And you might be asking yourself, Jeremy, $120.4? That's a pretty odd number, right? Moose, 120. If I asked you, hey, how much would you want for your services? And you said, I'd like $120.40. You'd be like, okay, I guess. But the reason why he did that number is because he wanted to get paid $0.1 million more than Derek Stingley on a per-year basis. Even though he's getting paid less in guaranteed money, he wanted that money saying, oh yeah, I'm the top-paid corner in the NFL. And when you look at the two deals that the Jets just did, Garrett Wilson at wide receiver and Sauce Gardner at cornerback, they're two franchise guys. They're paying $62.6 million per year. For the Texans, they're paying $54.25. And I know it's just an $8 million difference, but in a game of inches, it could also be a game of dollars and cents. And every dollar that you can save to then put back into your team, sign free agents, make moves that you need is crucial. And the Texans get that. They understand that, hey, if we're able to save a little bit here, a little bit there, pay our guys, make sure everybody's happy moving forward, then we're all good. Nick Caserio understands this. He gets it. And now you're getting a guy who maybe, they're getting paid the same amount, but Stingley's better. Stingley at this point is a better cornerback than Sauce Gardner. And you're telling me these guys are getting paid the same amount? Like, okay, I'm okay with that. But the Texans basically forced the Jets' hand with that contract, because you can't tell me if Derek Stingley didn't get that contract that Sauce Gardner would have got a $120.4 million extension. No. He would have been the highest paid corner, but would he have made $30 million a year? I really don't think so. I think he saw what the Texans did and said, hey, the Leonardo DiCaprio meme. Hey, look at that. I want that. I want what that guy got. And the Jets caved. And then we look at the Nico Collins and Garrett Wilson numbers. Yes, obviously, more receptions, more yards for Garrett Wilson. He also played in 5 more games. Obviously, not a good thing that Nico Collins is missing games during the year. But production-wise, pretty much the same. Only 100 less yards, same amount of touchdowns, and only 2 less explosive plays of 20-plus yards for Nico Collins than Garrett Wilson in 2024. So, obviously, the Texans, we have our guys locked up. We have our cornerstones. We have our guys necessary to take that next step to contend in the AFC. And the fact that the Texans have gone ahead and locked up key young guys is a testament to how far we've come since the Jack Easterby days, since the Culley days, since the Lovie Smith days. How many guys 2 or 3 years ago legitimately had the words coming out of their mouth, I want to play for the Houston Texans? Nobody. No, the only reason why guys were going to the Houston Texans 2 or 3 years ago before DeMeco Ryans was with this organization was, hey, maybe I can get paid the most by the Houston Texans. That was the only reason. And now we're having guys like C.J. Gardner-Johnson who are legitimately happy to come to the Houston Texans and be a part of something special. And I know, technically Nick Caserio was the GM during those David Culley and Lovie Smith days, but in reality, where we were to where we are now, leaps and bounds. Leaps and bounds. And it's not saying that Caserio is perfect. Obviously, he's made mistakes here and there. But at the end of the day, the Texans organization, where they're at, their front office, I would say a top 5, top 10 front office in this league as it stands right now. And coming up, I'm going to tell you why I'm so excited for right now, but also why I'm excited for the future, because it's easy to go all in and set yourself up for success right now and push all your chips in at the table. But what's hard is doing that and also setting yourself up for success down the road. Because a lot of teams are like, oh yeah, I'm going to give away all my draft capital, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and F them picks down the road and we'll figure it out. The Rams did it, and it was a success. They ended up winning a Super Bowl, but they needed a couple years to kind of recoup to get back at it. And who knows, once Matthew Stafford's gone, what it's going to look like in LA. But the Texans, I think they have set themselves up for success now and in the future. The reasons why I'm excited for the future. Stroud and Will Anderson Jr., they're committed. They're the top 2 extensions I'm looking at this year. You have your premier edge rusher and you have your franchise quarterback. You want to lock those guys up, and it seems like they're entirely bought in with this franchise, this city, and this team. This is exactly what Will Anderson Jr. had said this offseason. He said, I want to be here for the rest of my career. As long as I can be here, that's where I want to be. That's what Will Anderson said about the Houston Texans. And that's exactly what you want your star players saying. You want your star players saying, I'm so committed. I know I don't even have that contract yet, but this is the team that I want to play for. I mean, How many look at Micah Parsons with the Dallas Cowboys. He's not saying that. He's saying, oh, yeah, it'd be cool to play for the Cowboys, but I'm keeping my options open. Not from Will Anderson. He's standing on business. He said he wants to be a Texan. C.J. Stroud, even though he kind of said it tongue-in-cheek in a TikTok, he said he wanted to stay in Houston for 100 years, and he seems like the type of high-character guy, the kind of guy who doesn't want distractions for this team. And I believe his contract will get done smoothly next offseason. I think it's not going to be this drama-filled, everything that we see with a couple of these other guys where it's a long, drawn-out process and there's back and forth between the agent and the front office. I don't think the Texans are running it like that. And I'm excited that we're going to kind of skip over that drama and just get to getting these guys signed long-term with the Houston Texans. The other part of why I'm excited is this team has done really well drafting. Their draft picks have been balling out. Look at last year's draft, right? We didn't have a first-round pick last year either, right? We traded out of round 1 with the Minnesota Vikings. Did not have a first-round pick. Who was the first selection, though? Kamari Lassiter, who's turned into, many believe him and Stingley, the top cornerback duo in the entire National Football League. Calen Bullock, Ryan Clark said he's going to be a superstar. Bleacher Report named him on their top 8 guys who are going to be a superstar next year. C.J. Gardner-Johnson sang his praises this past week. This dude looks like he's balling out at the safety position. Henry To'o looked really good last year at the linebacker spot, stepping in. Christian Harris, I wanted to add him to this list, but obviously injured all last year. And Jalen Pitre is a dog. He's an absolute dog. And depending on how Blake Fisher and Ariante Ursery play, the 2 young tackles that the Texans have, that can really catapult these young guys even further. If Blake Fisher steps in and plays that right tackle spot and is able to start for you, that's massive. That's huge for this Texans team because that means you're having young guys at premier positions on rookie contracts to where you can easily go out and pay a C.J. Stroud and a Will Anderson Jr. And the last reason why I am pumped for the future is we didn't really leverage our draft capital moving forward. I know we're all in this year. A lot of people, a lot of fans, a lot of Texans fans expect this team to contend, to at least get to an AFC championship game, finally get over the hump of the divisional round this year. But I know I don't want to look forward and say, even if we don't make it, because I'm expecting that too. I want this team to at least make it to the AFC championship game this season. We look forward, they still have a ton of draft capital. And this is before Nick Caserio wheels and deals and trades all throughout the draft. We have 2 seconds and 2 fourths. And we have not our 3rd round pick, but maybe even better, we have the Giants' 3rd round pick. Depending on how good they are, that could be a premier pick at the top of the 3rd round. So the Texans not only have young guys who are balling out, they not only have a strong leadership core on the team right now that is going into their prime, they also have enough draft capital to retool and rebuild going into next season. So I'm so excited for how Nick Caserio has set this team up, not only for this season, but for years moving forward. That's all I have for you on today's show, folks. You can hit me up on Twitter at Jeremy Chuggs. My DMs are always open, and if you made it to the end of the video, what are you doing? Hit that subscribe button for free Texans content all year long.